ask Commissioner Chris Sherrill to lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance. But before we begin that, I would like us to take a moment of silence to remember two PSTA bus operators who passed away this week, Mr. Danny Ortiz and Mr. Jose Wisdom, as well as our PSTA board members, Commissioner Patty Reed's husband, Mr. Billy Reed. Please stand. And join me for a moment of silence. Thank you. Mr. Commissioner Sherrill, would you please lead us in a word of prayer?
I pledge
allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. I'm always ready to pray. So now we'll move on to our awards and recognition. We have a PSTA bus driver, Mr. Paul Kirkland, who served our community for 32 great years. James Bradford, our PSTA's Chief Operating Officer, will recognize Mr. Paul.
Good morning. Thank you very much, Madam Chair. Good morning to our Madam Chair and PSTA board members. It is my pleasure to be here today to recognize one of PSTA's finest. Today I have the honor of recognizing someone whose contributions to PSTA span over 32 years, someone whose quiet leadership, unwavering professionalism, and warm personality have made a lasting impact on our agency and community. It's my privilege to present and recognize Mr. Paul Kirkland in recognition of his remarkable service as a PSTA bus operator. Tell you a little bit about his story. Paul joined PSTA on June 16, 1992, drawn to the security of good pay, benefits, a pension, and the strength of a union. Opportunities that were just as valuable then as they are now. Before PSTA, Paul worked at the Safety Harbor Spa as a concierge, where he had a knack for connecting with people, including some famous guests like John Travolta, Ella Fitzgerald, Evander Holyfield, and Sugar Ray Leonard. It was Sugar Ray who gave Paul the nickname Boss Hogg for his cool presence and their uncanny resemblance. Paul's path to PSTA began one day while waiting on a guest at the courthouse. He spotted the Clearwater Division garage next door, decided to apply, and was one of only 3 people selected out of nearly 3,000 applicants. That alone tells you the kind of man we're celebrating today. He spent most of his career on Route 61, driving through Clearwater's MLK corridor, the neighborhood where he grew up. That route wasn't just a job, it was personal. Paul knew the people, the landmarks, and the stories. He treated every passenger with respect and kindness, living by a simple motto: treat people how you want to be treated. That philosophy helped him build countless friendships, many of which turned into family. And speaking of family, in fact, it was on the bus that Paul met his future wife, Kathleen. She was visiting from Trinidad one week and asked for directions to the Tyrone Mall. Paul not only helped, but he offered to show around town since he had the next few days off. They've now been married for 33 years. Paul is a devoted husband, father, and grandfather. His son, Paul Jr., now drives for PSTA 2. His daughter, Jade, a sergeant, serves in the U.S. military overseas, actually also married to another sergeant. Thank you for her service. And his youngest son, Jordan, who is autistic, is 29 years old. As a fellow father of a child with autism, I've shared with Paul both the challenges and the deep joys of that journey. His love for his family runs deep, and his 8-year-old granddaughter lights up his world. And I will mention that actually April is Autism Awareness Month. He's also incredibly skilled outside of work, an expert carpenter who can fix anything from sinks to sprinkler systems. He developed those hands-on skills working construction with his brother. And he's a classic car enthusiast with a soft spot for vintage Chevys and his prized 1941 Plymouth with suicide doors. One of his retirement dreams is a trip to Cuba, just to admire the old cars. Over the years, Paul witnessed a lot of change, electric buses, safety barriers, and the end of smoking, yes, smoking in the driver lounges, believe it or not. But through it all, he remained steady. He retired with a spotless driving record, never once put a scratch on a bus or a trolley. He also served as vice president of SEIU, always ready to support fellow operators and lend advice, something he still does now in retirement. Even after officially retiring on February 11th, Paul stayed an extra 30 days here to help us through a driver shortage. Yet another example of his dedication and his heart. Looking ahead, Paul is embracing retirement with gratitude. He plans to travel with wife Kathleen, stay healthy, and give back by mentoring to young men in his Clearwater community, offering them the same guidance his mother once gave him. And personally, I want to thank Paul. He's been a grounding presence to me during my time at PSTA, someone who leads with wisdom, kindness, and integrity, and just a quiet storm, quiet force. Paul, your legacy is one of service, compassion, and strength. You've touched so many lives here, passengers, colleagues, and friends. On behalf of the entire PSTA family, thank you. We celebrate you, and we wish you every happiness in this next chapter of your life. Congratulations, Boss Hogg. You've earned it. So, Paul, we would like to get a picture with you with our Madam Chair and our CEO, Brad Miller. And we have a plaque to give to you. Paul Kirkland, June 1992, February 2025, in appreciation of 32 years of service, 32 years of unwavering commitment to the riders, the public, and the mission of PSTA. Paul being a strong presence with a kind heart and a true professional, Paul made every mile count with a smile and a steady driving hand. Presented today, April 23rd.
Smiles.
Thank you so much for that, and congratulations again on 32 awesome years. What a true tribute to your dedication and service, and we appreciate you for that. So now it's the time for public comment on the consent agenda items or items not on the agenda. Please fill out a green card and get it to staff sitting at the front of the table, and speakers will be recognized in the order in which cards are received. Are there any members of the public that wish to speak? Okay, so now we'll move on to our consent agenda. Are there any items a board member wishes to pull? Commissioner Scott.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I just have two quick questions on 2 items. On the support vehicle lease, is that new grant funding? Is it reads that it's fully funded, I'm assuming, from FTA? And is that new grant funding, or is that, I guess, where's that funding coming from?
That's coming from our formula funds from FTA, so it's
Okay.
not new, it's a grant we have in place.
Okay, got it. And then my second question is the extension of the Access Mobility contract, that's general fund, I take it?
Yes, it
Yeah.
is.
General
There
operating
are
funds.
some grant funds for different programs,
Okay.
like the Transportation Disadvantage program we do with them,
Okay.
but it's mostly just our general funds for paratransit.
Okay, got it.
Yeah.
Okay. All right, thank you. Move approval.
Thank you. So first, let me ask our legal counsel, Jennifer Cowan, to read the included resolution regarding the safety plan that we are approving.
Resolution 25-02, a resolution of the Pinellas Suncoast Transit Authority Board of Directors designating the board chair to review and execute the Public Transportation Agency Safety Plan and providing for an effective date. That was Resolution 2502, read by title only.
Okay, so can we please open the machine for voting? Okay, mine never came up.
I'm a yes.
So I need Commissioner Reed,
Yes.
Petrella,
Yes.
Walker.
Yes.
Okay, great.
Okay, so the motion passes 12-0. Thank you. So now we'll have committee updates. First, we will hear from the Chair of the Transit Riders Advisory Committee, Ms. Gloria Lepic Corrigan, about their recent meeting, followed by me with the Ford Pinellas report. Or is that going to be you, Brad, the Ford Pinellas?
It's going to be you.
Okay. All right.
Good morning, Chair Fig Sanders, Mr. Miller, and esteemed board members. The Transit Riders Advisory Committee met via Zoom on April 15th. And we really had three key issues during our meeting. The first we dealt with was we had a track initiative that is to conduct cleanup events at PSTA adjacent properties. We see a lot of areas where there's a mess, and we're trying to make the experience of riding a bus that much more pleasant. What we found was in reaching out to organizations like Keep Pinellas Beautiful, those require contracts and long, commitments that we were not able to do. And so we're looking at putting together our own programs. But again, we still want to do an initiative in that regard. The second initiative is the one that I've mentioned to all of you before, and that is that we want to take each of you out on a ride with a transit rider to get a feel of what the experience is of riding on PSTA. And we now have each of you assigned to or chosen by a member of our track. And so in the next coming weeks, you'll be hearing from a member of our committee. And we want to be very respectful of your time. We know that all of you have very busy schedules, and so we're not trying to get you out for half a day to ride the bus. But rather, we want to have you think about, well, if I were going to take the bus, where would I want to go? And then when you're talking with the track member, you can decide what is a easy and interesting ride that you can take with PSTA. And then the last thing that we did was we took part in a rider focus group for a marketing project led by Marketing Communications Director Amanda Baird. And again, PSTA does a really good job of reaching out to the riders and getting a sense of what our views are as they're trying to, in this case, update and enhance the signage that is at each of the display boards in the shelters and in the terminals. And so it was interesting how many different points of view there really were from that group. And I think those will be good changes, good updates on that. Our next meeting will be held via Zoom again on May 13th. And as always, I invite you all to attend. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much for the report. So now for the Ford Pinellas report. The Ford Pinellas Board held this public meeting in person on April 9, 2025 at 1 p.m. in the Palm Room at the Pinellas County Communications Building. The Ford Pinellas Board accepted findings from the financial audits of the Metropolitan Planning Organization and the Pinellas Planning Council. The board approved the local government grant program funding awards, originally called the Complete Streets Grant Program. The review subcommittee recommended the City of St. Petersburg receive funding for its planning application for micro-mobility expansion, and the City of Pinellas Park will receive the full amount of funding requested for both of its construction applications. The board also approved the Pinellas Planning Council's fiscal 25 budget amendment, supplemented services for the Regional Water Board Transportation Market Demand Study, and the Ford Pinellas website update. The board received a presentation by PSTA's Board Planning Manager Jacob Labuka about the adopted Connected Community Bus Network. And that is your Ford Pinellas report. So now we have action items. We're going to go ahead and move to the board officers and committee appointments. With the recent departure of our former chair, Dan Saraki, the nominating committee met to discuss officers for the remainder of the 2025, as well as committee vacancies. Brad, would you like to outline the outcome of the meeting?
Thank you, Vice Chair. The nominating committee met earlier this month on April 2nd to make recommendations to you today on, first on the officers, to essentially move everyone up one position. So our vice chair, Deborah Fix Sanders, would be chair. Our current secretary treasurer, Tom Reed, would be vice chair. And then coming into the secretary treasurer would be Patty Reed from Pinellas Park. And then the fourth person, or the fifth person to be on the executive committee would be our commissioner from Dunedin, Mr. Robert Walker. Thank you for volunteering your service to that. The nominating committee then went on to recommend a couple of different positions for the vacancies on our committees. For the finance committee, Robert Walker would be put as a full member. Thank you. And Mike DeBrizzi as an alternate. Thank you for coming to our last finance committee clairvoyantly knowing this was going to. The legislative committee, Commissioner Kathleen Peters, who was on the nominating committee, is recommended as an alternate to the legislative committee. And then finally, for the PSTA position appointment to the Forward Pinellas Board, the nominating committee is recommending our new member, Oldsmar Mayor Katie Gannon, for 2025.
Okay, thank you, Brad. Are there any questions or any other nominations?
Second.
Thank you. Is there anyone from the public that wishes to speak? Since we have a motion that's been properly seconded, can you please open the machine for voting?
I'm a yes. I'm a yes as well. Yes. Yes.
Yes.
Yes.
All right, so the motion passes from 12 to 1. Thank you, everyone, for that.
Thank you. 12-0.
Wait, oh, I'm sorry, 12 to 0.
Yeah.
I'm sorry. Yo, I am nervous. Can you tell? I am nervous this morning for whatever reason, but thank you so much for that. Brad, would you like to update us on the reports in our packet and upcoming meeting subjects?
Thank you very much. Good morning, everybody. I challenged our IT department yesterday that we're going to have a party when the Granicus thing works perfectly and 100% of everybody's iPads works. It may never happen, but in your packet is a number of information that was presented to the Finance Committee and the Planning Committee. The ridership report in the packet showed ridership up slightly in the month of February, and that marked the 10th straight non-hurricane affected month-over-month ridership gain for PSTA. And this month, also in your packet, the Planning Committee got a presentation that's in there on PSA's safety and accident record trends. Thank you to Commissioner Fig Sanders for joining me in Tallahassee early this month for PSDA's visit, going over our legislative priorities, which essentially were just to highlight how PSDA has responded to some of the issues that were brought up last year during the legislative session that were sort of targeting public transportation across the state. And I was very pleased. I think it was a very positive session to not necessarily have the target on our back from public transportation's point of view. And I think the legislators acknowledged that, and they knew that we had made adjustments, and we're very happy with that. As far as the home finish for the session goes, I think I'm not exactly sure where things are going to end up as far as funding for transportation funding. I think it's still being debated. There's really nothing significant from a policy perspective. There is a bill which Ron Pierce and I have been working on for a long time to update the state DOT regulations regarding taxis and Uber and Lyft to include Uber and Lyft, because regulations have not been updated since 1989, and that actually looks like it's going to pass. It's passed the House, and I think it's scheduled for a vote in the Senate to basically recognize that there are transportation network companies and that the DOT regulations essentially treat them like they do taxis. So that's a positive thing. That will allow us, if we want to, use state dollars for Uber and Lyft, just like we can taxis today. Thank you to all of you who attended our first budget workshop earlier this month. We're going to get some more detailed information about our capital and operating budgets, starting with our committee meetings this month, or next month in May. And then our second budget workshop is scheduled for May 30th at 9 o'clock here. Hope to see you there. Next up is a planned trip to Washington, D.C. By myself, and Debbie Leas are going to go to talk to our legislators with our lobbyist there in Washington, D.C., Harry Glenn, on the Uber and Lyft issue that was hopefully will never go into effect, but the proposed regulation that would not allow us to use Uber and Lyft. We've got some meetings scheduled with the Secretary of Transportation's office and some transportation committees in the House and Senate to talk to them about that. Next Wednesday, April 30th, if you are interested in driving a bus, you could join hopefully the media will be here. We're scheduling a media event here to allow reporters to drive a bus. This was a promotion we did before, and we hope it'll be a success again, to recruit bus drivers. We are hiring for bus drivers right now, and the last time we did this and had reporters drive around it's just driving around the parking lot. They don't go out onto a road. They film, and then we saw a huge increase in the number of applicants from those news stories that came out, and we were able to fill a lot of vacant positions. We're going to try to do that again on April 30th. Thank you very much to the Finance Committee members. Those are Commissioners Hazelton, Walker, McCann, Scher, and Reed for careful review and comment and a recommended selection of a auditing firm for PSTA. So your highly motivated procurement director there, Al Burns, is going to negotiate the best possible deal we can with your recommendation and come back next month with a recommendation. Last thing I would like to I just thought was interesting to note, it might be historic, might be something that PSTA might want to do in the future, but I noted that last week, on April 16th, the Jacksonville Transportation Authority voted to purchase 14 Holon autonomous buses for $409,000 each. They are these small little shuttle buses, but they're autonomous, they're driverless, and they are being built by this company Holon, which they're not going to be available until 2027 because the factory is breaking ground in Jacksonville this summer. The factory hasn't been built yet, but this is, this is definitely in the future. This is an autonomous vehicle, a shuttle bus, kind of a little bit bigger than the one that we had demonstrated before. That was the one that we had during the pandemic. Our Ava vehicle was from France. All the autonomous vehicles were made in France, but this will be the first American-made autonomous shuttle ever. So it's just something that I noted, and I thought we're gonna try to learn a little bit more about. I think it's the way of the future. That concludes my report.
All right, thank you. Is there any other business that we need to discuss? Commissioner Scott.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Just some thoughts for future meeting subjects. I think we should have a discussion about the ferry.
Oh, yeah.
Before before we get asked to make a decision on accepting a $5 million grant, I think we should have a good discussion about what the future looks like for that, what's the operational plan for that. So I just want to kind of put that out there so we can have that on the radar for some future discussion. And then also, yesterday afternoon at the County Commission, we had a pretty robust discussion about Duke Energy's conservation energy credit plan. And I don't know if PSTA subscribes to that plan or not, but with as much power as we're using here at PSTA to charge electric vehicles, I just wanted to bring that up to maybe we should look into that if we are subscribing that, because it just appears that the math on that program, the further you go out, gets fuzzier. And we're kind of questioning whether or not there's a return on investment there or not. So something that maybe we should take a look at. So
We'll definitely do that, thank you.
Yep.
Yeah.
That's all. Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Commissioner Scott. Seeing no other further requests to speak, does any board members have any comments, remarks? Well, I will say that this is the fastest board meeting that I've been
Yeah.
a part of. It is like actually 9:26. We move on, okay. So if we have no other comments, I want to thank everyone for your vote of confidence and everyone that you are willing and committing for your services to the PSTA Board of Commissioners. And with that being said, our next meeting is May 28th at 9 a.m., and this meeting is adjourned.
Great, wow,
Okay.
wow. Wow, efficient.
Oh.